Today on the Topping Show, LSU frat boys chant USA over protesters going viral, Matt Walsh on a recent Pitbull attack, Charlie, Kirk, and Vivek on House Bill H.R. 6090 and the implications for the First Amendment, the Pelton CEO is ousted and more jobs are cut, Rivian chooses Illinois for the R2 factory thanks to $827 million in incentives, and Walmart recalls some of the beef that they have been carrying. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. I say he's white, handsome, and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the Peloton CEO ousted and more jobs are subsequently being cut. Now, this is brought to us first thanks to Emma Thorne over at LinkedIn News, in which they say, quote, CEO Barry McCarthy is stepping down. The struggling workout company also said it's laying off 15% of their workforce, or about 400 employees, as part of a significant cost-cutting push. Peloton plans to continue closing retail showrooms and revamp its international sales plan in a bid to save $200 million by the end of 2025. The company recently reported disappointing third quarter sales results, with sales dropping 4% from a year earlier and revenue falling for the 9th quarter in a row. Now, they also note that Peloton has not turned a net profit since December 2020, which, again, a lot of startups, they'll have the times where it might be years until you make your first profit, but once you hit that point, ideally you're supposed to keep making profits for not the rest of the time, but for a pretty good long amount of time after that. I mean, Tesla and Amazon.com are probably two most famous examples of companies that churned through and burned incredible amounts of capital and lost money for years before they finally broke even and then finally made a profit. Now, Peloton's in a little bit of a pickle, or a fat roll, might be more appropriate pun or joke there, because they peaked during the pandemic when the government forced everyone to shut down and live at home, and they couldn't go to the gyms. There's a really big compelling reason to go buy one of those fancy thousands of dollars bikes that can't actually bike anywhere. And a lot of people bought them. And at the time, they're industry leading. There really weren't a lot of competitors. Now, there's less demand because, again, the country isn't yet shut down. We'll see what happens in the future. But everyone's starting to go back to gyms. All the competition in the fitness industry is caught up to them with other, some might argue the same, if not better options by throwing on a big fancy touchscreen and having an instructor yell at you. And some of those are also more reliable, with Peloton having multiple recalls. I don't want to say it was half the business blunders in 2023 on the show, but they had quite a few. So they have unprecedented lower demand and even more competition. I can't but think one of the only silver linings of the situation is that at their peak, they were able to buy out one of the best treadmill companies on the planet with the Precor treadmills. Granted, I'm a little biased, been using one for over 10 years. I love those things. They're darn near bulletproof for the commercial series. But it's an instance where I won't be surprised if they try to spin it off or maybe do another IPO just to have Precor on their own again. Because again, I mean, Peloton needs capital and need to change their business plan. I know one person in the past, I should say this past fiscal year, aka past 5 months, who's actually gone out and they bought a new Peloton machine. And these storerooms, I don't know if they're really moving sales. You also noticed earlier this year, they announced that they were going to partner with a couple entities like Dick's Sporting Goods. So they put their Peloton bikes in there so people can see, maybe buy it there. And then they're going to have a relationship with Hyatt Hotels, put them in there, and hopefully people will see, fall in love with them, and buy them subsequently after a visit. But I don't see those moving the meter too much because of the aforementioned reasons of, again, a lot more competition and a lot less demand. And if we look at their stock really quick, let's see here. I'm going to kind of pull this up, as youth might say, off the cuff. Well, not really the youth might say, grandpa might say that, but let's see here. Let's see, Peloton stock. Remember, last week it was crashing quite a bit. Let's see. Yeah, they're a bargain stock now. Past 5-year trend, the stock is down 86.43%. Past years down 56.15%. Year to date, they're down 41.15%. Past 6 months, down 31.77%. Past month is down 5%. Interesting enough, last week, yeah, the news, I don't know if this is right at the new CEO, it went down 22% in a day, but then did recover. So actually, last week averages actually increased by about 7%. Granted, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, it'll be different because that's what the stock market does, but it's around $3.42 per share. And again, if you go to the 5-year trend, it's like they peaked around $162.72 per share in 2020. Which, granted, that was a peak pandemic. So I'm not sure what kind of turnaround plan they're going to need. It's not just internal costs. I mean, you can cut those, and granted, that does help. But again, where's the demand for this product? And can they really withstand the test of time? I mean, they certainly had their moment in the spotlight. But let me know, when's the last time you actually heard of someone buying and using a Peloton? Have you ever had the opportunity to try one yourself? Do you like it? As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Rivian to choose Illinois for the R2 factory, partially because of $827 million in incentives. Now, this is brought to us thanks to TechCrunch.com. They actually note right here by Sean O'Kane. And yeah, they have a little picture of the new SUV. Oh, actually, it doesn't get bigger if you click on the picture. That's a little disappointing. But yeah, it looks kind of interesting. Again, SUV is one of the fastest. I mean, it's a huge category in the United States, especially SUVs and trucks. That's pretty much where the whole industry is going, unfortunately, or for better or worse. Well, for me, unfortunately, because I like fun, small sports cars, and those are becoming rarer and rarer. Now, they note that specifically, one of the reasons they chose is because, again, $827 million in incentives from the state of Illinois. The company announced that the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity will dole out the funds, which will be used to expand the automaker's existing factory in Normal, Illinois, to build out supporting infrastructure to boost job training programs for the workforce, update the factories, and will begin in the coming months. So I was about to say, it's not too out of the blue since they already have some physical presence in the state, which, granted, in terms of all the states in the United States, I would not have guessed Illinois because of a location for manufacturing, considering the high cost, the high corruption. But again, I guess it is central to the U.S., and I guess employees there don't mind paying a astronomical income tax, gas tax, and void cards and all that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, they note that the funding announcement comes 2 months after Rivian unveiled its midsize R2 SUV, which is supposed to start at $45,000 when it goes on sale in 2026. Which, I mean, it sounds like a lifetime, but time moves quick, and especially even quicker in business, especially when you're setting up these factories. I wonder how much demand there will be by then. We're seeing a lot of people pull back and put the brakes on EVs, pun moderately intended, with the fastest growing consumer category in the United States being hybrids. And granted, this is all partially because of the government incentives. I mean, if you throw $7,500 at someone, that's pretty big incentive to buy something. Now, they also note that Rivian initially planned to build the R2 in a brand new $5 billion factory in Georgia, but the company announced the R2 event in March and had decided instead to build it in Illinois, where it currently makes the R1T pickup and the R1S SUV and its commercial electric vans. Which, now, to me, Rivian is a kind of a neat name. I don't know how inspiring the truck is. The R1T. Now, to me, I kind of like it when they do things a little bit more differently. Now, they say that the decision to pivot away from the Georgia plant allows the startup to move up the timeline for the R2 SUV and save more than $2 billion. Rivian says they remain committed to building a factory in Georgia, but the company continued losses and struggles to scale production. It will make around the same number of EVs this year as it did last year, forcing it to rethink its plan for the next generation vehicle. Now, it's a very nice way of saying this company's in trouble, and the sales are, I think they lost $45,000 per vehicle sold in Q1, which not bad. It's Ford. Ford lost about $136,000 per vehicle sold for EVs Q1. So again, Rivian is not doing terribly fiscally speaking. They're moving in the right direction. The losses are less per vehicle each fiscal quarter. And that being said, the year-to-date stock is still half off, down 52.27%, currently trading for $10.07 per share. In the past 5-year trend, it's down 92.25%. Looks like the IPO was $129.95. So some people made a lot of money in the very, very beginning, and everyone else is struggling. And upon further examination, they don't even pay dividends. So there's not much incentive to actually hold on to stock. Well, who knows? Maybe in 2 or 3 years, the stock will be worth $1,000 a share, and I'll be kicking myself for not buying it. Probably not. And again, I don't give financial advice, but just say for the outlook, for me, the outlook for Rivian, it's going to be a struggle year for most companies, especially companies that are selling glorified toys, which, again, an EV will not last your family 10 to 20 years. The battery technology is not currently there, might be in the future, but for now, to me, not a great ROI. In fact, it's one of the worst, considering you have one person that could fix it, one person that could actually do anything to the vehicle, and the battery to replace, that'll be what, 10, 20, 30, $40,000. So let's just say, if I was British, I'd say it's not my cup of tea, but since I'm American, I'll say it's not my cup of black coffee. But let me know in the comments. When's the last time you actually saw Rivian? Is that something you'd be interested in ever actually owning? They look okay, I guess. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the Culture Proud podcast, you have LSU frat boys chanting USA, drowning out the pro-Palestine protesters, which are engulfing pretty much darn near every college campus, or so it seems. Now this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, and before the video he says, quote, LSU frat boys just hijacked a pro-Palestine protest and drowned it out with USA, USA chants. The trend is spreading, unquote. And this is one of the most popular things that End Wokeness has tweeted this year, getting over, well, actually just right at 5.1 million views. It's only about 16 seconds long, so not too bad. Without further ado, go ahead and play that. USA! 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 There you go. It's actually pretty rare to see a. Oh my gosh, I think. Yeah, it's very rare. You actually see an American flag on a college campus in America? That's something you don't see every day. Usually the flags are, the Marxist flags, communism flags, in this case, Palestinian flags. Pretty much every flag is more popular on a college campus, or so it seems, than the American flag. There's always some douche or rudimentary person wearing a flag as a cape, which I don't care what your flag is. That's just a lazy, disrespectful thing to do, in my opinion. Whereas the guy holding the American flag has a nice red hat, and he's actually, holding the flag, or holding a pole where the flag is attached to, thereby giving it infinitely more respect than the other college student. And again, it's got 5.1 million views and 50,000 likes. Scrolling down, some of the top comments comes from Paul Zuzupa saying, quote, I love it. No other chant in the world has so much power as USA, USA, USA. Saluting emoji, American flag emoji. That got 699 likes. Let's fix that. There you go. Even 700 likes. There we go. Southern Skriller says, quote, toxic white men going to save this country. And it says, frat boys raising their flag at UNC, circa 224 colorized. And it's the recreation of the infamous, one of the most famous pictures in history, actually, the Iwo Jima flag. We had the Marines putting up the flag. That got 1.7 thousand likes, and it's frat boys. And now the only disappointing, inaccurate historical thing is they're truly OG men. They'd all be wearing the New Balance 990 series, made in the USA running shoe. The best bar none. I think I'm on my 17th or 18th pair, but all the gentlemen are wearing polos, shorts, and hoisting up the American flag. Got 1.7 thousand likes. Stats for S84 says, quote, this is a trend I can get behind, USA. There's a picture of a bald eagle with a cross and a heart on top of a hand in front of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And his USA flag is partially making up bald eagle and says one nation under God. That got 537 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Big Gamer 29 says, basically, stop by my flag, I'll stop on your keister, getting 595 likes. See here. Mr. Bigglesworth's meme says, quote, I stand with the frat boys in America, and it's American flag, and says, this is my pride flag. It stands up all year, getting 865 likes. Wilder says, maybe all this crap will bring Americans together, real patriots, God bless USA, getting 292 likes, which, no, culturally speaking, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. You see more and more Democrats move away from the American flag, which I think in terms of politics is a terrible move on the political chessboard. And I don't think it should, but many people are starting to perceive the American flag as right wing or far right, which is ridiculous. It's the one flag that's supposed to unite all of us. And yet, there are politicians using it pejoratively, saying it's the right wing. To me, I think that is a foolish thing to do. It should unite all of us as the point, and that's how I still see it. But it is interesting to see and notice if you see someone with the U.S. flag on the front lawn, more often than not, you kind of know who they voted for. And then if you see the Ukrainian flag on the front lawn, you probably know who they voted for too. Now, you also have Red Wave Press saying, quote, I love the South. The patriots in the South don't put up with pro-Palestine protesters. Follow if you agree, getting 564 likes. Which, again, I mean, for the record, as long as you're peacefully protesting, got some nice Hobby Lobby cardstock, or if you're cheap, you can just flimsy paper. But there's nothing bad about protesting peacefully. That's part of the American culture, it's part of our American history. I mean, as long as you're peacefully protesting, yeah, everyone should have that ability, no matter what race, creed you are, whatever your cause is. Granted, once you cross the line of violence, that's when the authorities will subsequently appropriately step in. And interesting enough, that's also when you lose a lot of support for your cause, whatever it may be. You also have Harrison Frank saying, quote, frat guys, the real heroes we need, getting 326 likes. Let's see here. Scrolling down more and more. Those seem to be top ones. Let's see here. Do one or two more. Henry says, most American thing I've seen today, getting 24 likes. And then Trump AI says, faith in Gen Z restored. Clappy emoji, getting 93 likes. So it's fascinating to see, culturally speaking, we're seeing more and more of this spread across college campuses as you have some of these protests devolving into riots for the pro-Palestinian side. And I think, do you think culturally speaking, is the pendulum finally going to start shifting for the American flag starts unifying everyone and we all come a little bit closer together? As always, let me know in the comments. I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say, and as I sometimes say, time shall tell. Other interesting cultural news, Matt Walsh, he's going a little roasted and a little bit vindicated when he's pointing out a Pitbull attack on X Twitter. Now, obviously, this comes from his personal X Twitter profile, in which he says, quote, it continues to be insane that we allow people to own pit bulls. They are dangerous beasts who don't belong in our communities. There are no good pit bulls, only ones that haven't mauled anyone yet, unquote. And he accompanied it with this little video from Black Lotus Tactical. And is the video, I was going to say, cover your eyes, or if you have youth listening or watching, have them step in another room for a minute because it is a little grotesque. And there are a couple of dogs who are, they're no longer with us. And I forget which city this is in.
Bro.
If dogs running around the neighborhood.
This fucking pit just fucked somebody up, dude.
Yeah, a bunch of dogs, like 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all attacking one guy in a t-shirt, which, again, that is a fashion faux pas. You're not supposed to wear a t-shirt, heaven forbid in public. But you don't deserve to get attacked by a pit bull for that. I will say that for the record. I mean, as abhorrent as it is for me, someone wearing a t-shirt, nevertheless, don't gone too far. He's on the ground with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dogs mauling him. I don't know how lazy this. There's this one guy standing to the right, just not helping at all, just yelling. Which, spoiler, that's not helping. Like literally anything would be, nearly anything would be more effective than that. Looks like a gal's coming up to try to help him. She's interviewing a dog, probably about the same weight as her. It starts attacking her and pushing her away.
Oh.
You got one guy still on the ground. Was it 4 or 5 guys attacking him? Sorry, one guy on the ground, 4 to 5 dogs attacking him. They're biting him all over. Jeez, don't these people have guns? Yet another recent 1,999,000 or 1,999,995,443 actually own and properly train and use a gun. The Second Amendment is one of the most vital amendments in the Bill of Rights. Yet another great use case of civilians should be able to defend themselves from these raging pit bulls. I mean, they're quite literally attacking a man, biting him all over, and you got 2 people just standing there. One's yelling and someone's recording this too. Police finally stroll up, and this is where, I don't know if it's dark humor or just a dark video. So again, if you have kids, get in the other room. Jeez, how long is he gonna wait?
That's us.
Nah.
What the crap? So this what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solid seconds. Police just standing there. He unholstered his gun. Let's see.
Nah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to 6 seconds. The police officer. Again, that's just him on camera. I think the car moved in the intersection. Police car moved in the intersection. So he probably had maybe 10 seconds standing there with a pistol, doing nothing. Now, granted, he did the right thing eventually.
Bro.
There you go. Alright. Another dog's running away in cowardice. Jeez, one dog, again, about the size of the lady, I think, which took a couple of hits, is running still pretty hard at another guy, and finally is, what do you call it? I think the kid's like, dancing in the middle of the road. Well, it's the last dance that dog's going to do. I wonder if that person is actually angry at the police officer for killing the dogs. Which, of all the times the police officer deserves kudos and rewards, which I might be aging myself. I don't think people even know what a kudos bar is, but nevertheless, it was a treat back in the day. And yeah, the police did a great job right there. Overall, helped save that guy's life. And again, this went viral. Got 6.2 million views and 26,000 likes. So interesting enough, not the biggest like ratio for Mr. Matt Walsh. This is perhaps, fascinatingly enough, one of the most controversial cultural takes that we've seen throughout the years. And it's very cyclical. Every couple of months, inevitably, you seem to have another pit bull attack with someone being mauled beyond the point of recognition. And you have this great debate come, is it the owner, is it the dog breed, is it, nature versus nurture, the age-old debate. And the pit bull owners are very stalwart, they're all about saying, it's only the owner issue. Now, the statistics show that, yeah, pit bulls contribute a majority of fatal bites. It's over 50%. I think last time I checked, it was like 60% of all fatal dog bites were from the pit bull category. Now, is that because they're inherently like that? It's because it's the owners that are training them? Because there are a lot of variables to look into, but in terms of the raw data, they just happen to be the ones that are more often than not involved in deadly attacks. Now, one of the first comments comes from Matt Walsh, and he actually says, "Where is Christy Nolan when you need her?" Quote, getting 7,000 likes, which, yeah, she shot herself in the foot, politically speaking, when she also shot her dog. Yeah, or was it just random dog? Nevertheless, it was one of the worst moves on the political chessboard I've seen in my life. Now, you also have Old School Eddie saying, quote, "My pit is the sweetest and most loving dog I've ever owned. Blame the owner, not the dog." Very popular sentiment, getting 4.2 thousand likes. You also have Ian Carroll says, quote, "Wow, tell me you know nothing about dogs without telling me you know nothing about dogs. Your network got a gag order on your girl Candace in secret while publicly posturing as though they want to debate her right. No issue there." I'm quoting 5.8 thousand likes, which is yet another cultural controversy lately with the Daily Wire versus Candace Owens. Now, fascinatingly enough, 363 people responded to Ian. Or if anyone responded with statistics. Checkmate? Which, A+ for pun. This person spelled it like they're from the country, the Czech Republic. Now, if they had someone who was like dressed with a Czech flag playing on the chessboard as their profile picture, that'd be better. But nevertheless, I appreciate the word pun. Checkmate says, quote, "I agree with him on this one, dude. Pit bulls are bred to be short-tempered, and they clamp their jaws down permanently because they were breaking a bull out. They were breaking to tire a bull out. Not a good combo to live with humans," getting 152 likes. Team Rally also said, "Why are you bringing up secondary unrelated issues? He's talking about dogs," getting 286 likes. You also have Arch Stanton saying, quote, "CNN headline, white cop shoots unarmed black dog," getting, unquote, getting 5.1 thousand likes. Which, yeah, that is technically true. And another great example of the importance of knowing framing, where obviously you can take a situation and frame it different ways to make it mean very different things. Ray says, "I hate those dogs. I don't care who the owner is. They can't be trusted," unquote, getting 2,000 likes. AC says, quote, "Dangerous if not trained. If trained, they're one of the kindest, loyal, and most well-behaved breeds on the planet. Also in this video, the large dog is clearly a Mastiff and the others look like a mix of breeds. At the end of the day, this will go in as a pit bull attack because most folks are fairly ignorant of dog breeds. Further adding to the misconception, people who say things like unalive all pit bulls use the same fallacy as people promoting gun control. They also They often have zero experience with guns, so their reality is based on a constant drip of scary news articles and emotional imagery, getting, unquote. I got 1.6 thousand likes, and is another false equivalence that you hear a lot of the times when it comes to guns and pit bulls. Which, yeah, no. Literally apples to water, or an inanimate object to an animal. Not a very catchy phrase or analogy or metaphor, but nevertheless. Do a couple more here. You have John LaFerris, quote, despite making up only 6% of the dog population, pit bulls account for nearly 60% of all dog fatalities, unquote, getting 2.7 thousand likes. Which, yeah, sounds about right. Here's the statistics I've seen throughout the years. Let's see here. Winter says dogs aren't inherently good or bad. Their personalities develop from trauma they suffered in their lives, just like people. Have some compassion, try not to hate, unquote, getting 925 likes. Miss Sunrise says, quote, retriever retrieves things, breedings. Border Collie herds up chickens, breeding. Beagle follows his nose in the wood, breeding. Terrier dogs dig holes in yards, breeding. Pit bulls mauls a child, bad training must be the owner. Unquote, getting 479 likes. Here. Ooh, Dr. Abby Johnson says, quote, it's time to play. Place your token over each statement when you hear it. See how fast you can get a bingo. Bonus, you get a second token if any of the phrases blow complete in a sentence, like, quote, I am also sorry, but your toddler, grandma, innocent pet was killed and maimed. But some of the spots on the bingo board are all dogs bite. My dog would never bite. I can't believe my dog bit someone. You must have done something. Poor dog was confused, scared, being protective. Photo of Pitbull in a tutu. Chihuahuas bite more. Yeah, that is one of the dumbest, most mentally vacuous things I have read throughout the years when it comes to the debate on are there breeds inherently more dangerous than others, or why do pit bulls represent such a large percentage of the deaths when it comes to dog-related deaths. Yeah, everyone goes, chinchillas bite more. Yes, nobody cares because no one. I can't conceivably think of a single example where someone is dying rather from a chinchilla. I don't think anyone's buying them either, except isn't that the dumb Taco Bell dog? PepsiCo bought the one, I guess, which at the time was the parent company behind it. They subsequently sold off KFC and all those entities to Yum Brands. Fun business fact of the day. Let's see here. Another one says you're ignorant. Somehow the dog got out. Blame the breed. Blame the deed, not the breed. Don't blame the owner. Blame the owner. You should have gotten a bigger dog. You shouldn't have been in the front yard. Your dog shouldn't have barked. I have the right to own any pet I want. Well, actually, I'm gonna side with that one. This is America. You're supposed to be able to own one. Let's see here. Another bingo story is you gotta watch them around children. And there's many more, but that did get 1,000 likes. Let's see here. David Leatherwood says, quote, when cops shoot and kill violent pit bulls, they're heroes. When Christy Nolm shoots and kills a violent farm dog, she's smeared by the right. Fine emoji, unquote, getting 352 likes. Do one or two more here. See, the bearded ham, that just sounds like a cool name. And profile picture is A+, it is in fact a bearded ham. And he says, quote, I've been in debate with hundreds of people over the last 24 hours over this video. Not all the dogs are pit bulls, and 65% of dogs involved in attacks are misidentified as pit bulls. I will stand firm that this is an owner issue in a majority of cases and not the breed. Big fan of the show. I'm actually about to watch your show after I send this reply. I would love a debate with you on this. Maybe you and I can have more intelligent conversation than the majority of the replies I received. I got 946 likes, which that'd be a fun debate. I would actually tune into that if it's like a pit bull debate, not the the rapper versus the rapper, but an actual pit bull debate in terms of the conversation around dog-related fatalities and what is the myth versus could you actually have a conclusive conversation or conclusive debate on it, where at the end of the day actually dig the data and we find it out if there truly is or not. Either way, I think it'd be a pretty fascinating opportunity. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but let me know. Have you ever had an instance where there's been a tragedy in your family or someone's attacked by a dog and coincidentally it's just a pit bull? I mean, I can't help but notice when I puppy sit. Well, I say puppy, they're grown up, but when I have friends with dogs, the ones that are violent or crepuscular is not violent, but the ones that are violent are usually pit bulls. And that being said, after a couple days of throwing food in a cage, they eventually stopped barking at me. Although the joke is they just didn't like me because I was Cuban. But nevertheless, Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Charlie Kirk on House Bill H.R. 6090. Is free speech under attack? Well, yes, it is. So, spoiler alert. Now, again, this comes to us thanks to his personal X-Twitter profile. Charlie says, quote, in response to campus anti-Israel protests, the House is rushing to grammar aside. I think what he has to say is intelligent, but I might change the words so I don't sound so silly. Because he says he has tutu, rushing tutu. But nevertheless, I don't think he's talking about like an apparel like a tutu. But nevertheless, I'll restart from the beginning. Quote, in response to campus anti-Israel protests, the House is rushing to vote on a new bill, H.R. 6090. This bill would officially define anti-Semitism so that the federal government can sue, prosecute, or sanction more people, businesses, and universities for supposed violations of civil rights law. I abhor anti-Semitism, but this bill is flagrantly unconstitutional and an appalling attack on the First Amendment. This bill would make it illegal to compare Israeli policies to Nazi policies. It would also make it illegal to describe Israel as racist. It would make it illegal to accuse an American citizen of being more loyal to Israel than the United States. All those behaviors might be stupid or repugnant, but they are indisputably protected by the First Amendment. Yet now, congressional Republicans are rushing to gut the First Amendment in order to pass a European-style ban on supposed hate speech. Rioters should be arrested. Unhinged Israel-hating students who take over buildings or refuse to leave should be expelled. I stand with Representative Thomas Massey. This bill is an affront to the Constitution and must not pass. And quote, getting 3.8 million views and 20,000 likes, which is quite a lot to say the least. Charlie Kirk also said, read the bill. And it goes actually under another page. Or like most, spoiler, there are more. We usually just read over the comment section because a couple of these comments actually highlight it. Vivek parody account said, who wrote this? Netanyahu, getting 2.9 thousand likes. And yeah, spoiler alert, if you believe in the First Amendment, this is a disgusting bill. Now, you also have Goya Bean Groper saying, quote, this bill would make it illegal for Nick Fuentes to exist. These people truly hate us, unquote, getting 1.9 thousand likes. I don't know if it deserves that many. He's not wearing a suit. He's wearing some type of bomber jacket. Nevertheless, fashion faux pas aside, Vivek parody account says, quote, apparently stating the historical fact that Jews were killed involved in killing Jesus is considered anti-Semitic. And this individual has highlighted part of the, part of the bill, and it says, using symbols and images associated with classical anti-Semitism, e.g. claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel to characterize Israel or Israelis. They got 1.7 thousand likes. Classical Group says only an occupied nation would this happen, getting 1.2 thousand likes. Syrian Girl says, quote, we kept telling you for years that the Zionists are the real threat to free speech. The libs and their victimhood Olympics were just a cover for Zionists who see the winner of the victimhood Olympic. Why do you still carry water for Israel when they occupy our nation? Mask off. Getting 4,000 likes. Nike says, quote, saying that Jews have dual loyalty will be a prosecutable offense. Why would people say that? And it has a picture of a GOP lawmaker wears Israeli uniform to Capitol Hill. Currently, Representative Brian Mast getting 566 likes. Last known survivors, and quote, any curtailing of speech that doesn't explicitly call for violence is a violation of the First Amendment. People have the right to say awful things. This bill opens the door for silencing criticism of every protected group. It will snowball rapidly. In 245 likes, which, yes, by now, there's more examples than I could count in terms of it's not the slippery slope theory, it's just the slippery slope. And yes, this would be used to basically ban all speech that anyone could possibly deem offensive, but truth be told, that's the most important speech to be protected by the First Amendment because that's the one that needs protecting. No one needs freedom of speech to say the sky is blue, or grass is nice, or I like sunsets, or no one's going to care about that speech. It's uncontroversial. It doesn't need to be protected. And although I find it, obviously, anti-Semitism is visually disgusting, and I abhor it, as well, this speech about the critique of other cultures, and even saying you don't like them, that's protected under the First Amendment. You might not like it, but that is what our founding fathers wanted. They wanted freedom of speech for all. Now, East Dozer says, quote, really makes you think. And it says, if I were part of a group responsible for pornography, usury, communism, Holodomor, slave trade, hijacking mass media, open borders, I'd want hate speech laws too, getting 544 likes. Let's see, Winter Rewind says, quote, that's ultimately what their goal is following all these uprisings is a power grab. And it's a speech of Malcolm X saying a reminder of Malcolm X about who Democrats really are. And that got 214 likes. Going down here. There you go. MIS said, quote, this is the official definition of anti-Semitism. This bill is very dangerous. Some of the highlights include using symbolisms associated with classic anti-Semitism. Also, accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or the alleged priorities of Jewish worldwide than the interests of their own nations, unquote. So those are two other parts of the bill that were highlighted. He also says, or highlighted another part that says, quote, making dehumanizing, demoralizing, or stereotypical allegations that Jews as such or the power of Jews as a collective, such especially but not exclusively the myth about world Jewish conspiracy of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, and other social institutions. Which, again, it's one of those things where you might not like conspiracy theories, you might not like these statements about them, but again, that's why the First Amendment exists, is to protect the speech that isn't popular. Now, that did get 820 likes. Amy said also never vote for the government, no matter how well intended it is, getting 344 likes, which, again, as cliche as it sounds, we all know the old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Carolina says this bill would make this movie illegal. It looks like it's the not the Mel Gibson one, but the film even before his time of Passion of the Christ, I believe. I got 373 likes, which, yeah, a lot of people are starting to also allege that this is also going to ban some parts of the Bible as well. Do one or two more here. Let's see, Amy Lou Who says, I just called my representative, GOP majority whip, and asked him to vote against this bill. It's unconstitutional. And see some type of movie gif or just says shame, shame, shame. 116 likes. Garrick Ike, he is, let's see here. He says, quote, the 51 states of Israel getting 464 likes. Let's see here. Freedom of speech says, quote, so damn right on, comment, follow, like, tweet. His picture of Julian Assange, and Julian Assange says, quote, apparently, it's a quote from him, it says, forget Russia, the real threat to America comes from Israel and the Israel lobby. It got 93 likes. Again, it'd be nice if they actually linked some more of these, more evidence if they had it here. Raylan says 1690 also persecutes and makes Christianity illegal. The whole bill is trash because of number 9. They can't make it they just can't make it simple ever. I got 31 likes. Here. Do one or two more. Rebel Rowe says they couldn't use the power of the purse to close the border and protect us. Yet they want us to protect Jewish students. First, sorry. No, not sorry. I said it. Uncle getting 69 likes. And again, this is probably one of the most important bills we've seen in our lifetime. And again, do you think people are overreacting? Do you think this is, in fact, an attack on the First Amendment? Are you concerned? Again, in terms of implications and, the age-old saying, like I said, there's no such thing as we used to think as, it's just, it loses me at the moment. But the slippery slope, I don't know how many people really think it's a theory. It's every category, every instance we've seen it, is just proven to be true. I'm not sure if we should even call it a theory anymore. It's just a slippery slope fact. So, even though people are saying this has good intentions, and again, anti-Semitism is disgusting, morally vacuous to say the least, doesn't mean you should be able to critique a country's political policies. I mean, that's, in politics, that's how the best solutions are supposed to be chosen. You talk about, even if, traditionally people are left and right, might not, agree with their methodology to fix a problem, but part of the, used to be the debate and the cultural philosophies and discussions, which I'm not sure how many they really have in DC these days, but it used to be talking about, hey, which policies do we think will be most effective to fix a problem? Now, unfortunately, I don't think they do that much these days in DC. They mostly just create hot air. But again, more and more censorship has never led to a better society. And this is like, I don't know, the 9 millionth time I've referenced the book on the show, but one of the best books in history is 1984 by George Orwell, where he was famously tortured, or the character was famously tortured, and they were acquiesced and said they had to say 2 + 2 = 5. And every time he said 4, they would electrocute him. Spoiler: it's not a very happy book. It's quite bleak, but it is also even sadder when you consider modern society is worse in a couple ways than the actual book. So let me know, do you think this situation is being blown out of proportion? Do you agree that's an attack on the First Amendment? As always, I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Vivek on his take on the 1690 and the importance of the First Amendment, which, again, House Bill 1690 would make anti-Semitism speech illegal. Now, this is coming from Vivek's personal X-Twitter profile, and he's responding to Charlie Kirk, actually. And again, if you're tuning in just a segment and not the long format of the show, Charlie Kirk said, quote, "In response to the campus anti-Israel protest, the House is rushing to vote on a new bill, H.R. 1690. The bill would officially define anti-Semitism so the federal government can sue, prosecute, or sanction more people, businesses, and university for supposed violations of people's violations." Oh, where'd it go? Violations. Need to define them. I don't know why it went away there for a second. Prosecute individuals, be in universities for civil violations of civil rights laws. I abhor anti-Semitism, but this bill is flagrantly unconstitutional and an appalling attack on the First Amendment. So Vivek is responding to that, and Vivek says, quote, "The First Amendment protects all opinions. It's not complicated," unquote. He got 448,000 views, but only 8.5 thousand likes, which, again, is a little bit lower than his average like ratio when it comes to his presence on X Twitter. Now, some of the first top responses comes from G. Van Fleet, saying, quote, "Yes, we must defend the First Amendment no matter the attack is from the left or on the right," getting 361 likes. Planet of Memes gets an A+ for marketing. They responded, in fact, in meme form. Usually it used to be a 50-50 shot between they respond in just text or to be an actual meme. And Planet of Memes says, quote, "Including the opinions we don't want to hear," and says, Chomsky says, "If we do not believe in freedom of speech for those we despise, we do not believe in it at all." And that got 94 likes. You also have the conservative alternative say, quote, "This type of legislation hurts many people more than it helps. All this do is stir up resentment towards us Jews. People don't like being told that they cannot criticize," unquote, getting 49 likes, which, yeah, that's another good point that I think a lot of people might draw some parallels to DEI, where a lot of businesses are being forced to hire people based on criteria that are not directly related to merit and actual performance. And in terms of the cultural backlash and the perception, I think it's actually causing a greater negative effect on the people and their perception. And they start to question, is someone getting a job because of their qualifications, or is it because their resume was artificially pushed to the top because of a DEI initiative? So I actually think that, again, that is something that supposedly is about good intentions, but it's actually having the opposite effect, and I actually think is a net negative. Now, scrolling down to these comments again, you have Tulsi Gabbard parody account saying, quote, "The First Amendment is my favorite," followed by a second, getting 48 likes. Chris Egan said, quote, "Mike Johnson would ban Christianity tomorrow if it was what Israel ordered him to do," getting 57 likes. Virgio says, quote, "It's unconstitutional what they're doing. There's no debate on this. It's ridiculous," getting 55 likes. Now, unfortunately, even if it's unconstitutional, now thank God for the Supreme Court, this will eventually make it up to them. But there are a lot of things that are unconstitutional that are still a thing. Look at the registration on all the regulation on suppressors in the United States. What part of shall not be infringed, well, I'm not sure how it's hard to interpret that, or to the Second Amendment. And yet, it is highly regulated to buy a suppressor in the United States. You have to pay a lot of money. You have to pay a $200 tax stamp. You have to pay sales tax on top of that. You have to have additional passport photos taken, fingerprints taken. You have to write that check to the U.S. Treasury Department, fill out the additional paperwork. All that for something that you're entitled to because it is a human right. You shouldn't have all these barriers, in my opinion, to get, for you to actually get that item. And some states actually don't allow it. So I think it's absolutely unconstitutional. And yet, that law from 1934, the National Firearms Act, still stands. And that also regulates such things as short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, machine guns, and destructive devices, which in some states you can purchase, but with burdensome paperwork as well as taxes, which I don't think you should be able to tax a human right. Now, going back to some of these comments here, You also have, let's see here, two more. Bill Kroll says, quote, it will pass and be hailed as a great achievement. American evangelicals will be enthusiastically support it, getting 8 likes. Here. A little comic from Automated Liberty, and a guy says, I support free speech, just not hate speech. And a guy responds saying, I support physics, just not gravity. Getting 232 likes. The Eagle Bird says SCOTUS is going to be busy, which, yeah, hopefully the Supreme Court takes as many cases as they can. What is this? Joshua Fontana says, quote, here's how they voted. And let's see, spoiler alert, a lot of Republicans or Republicans in name only, they voted for it. That got 3 likes. So I think this will be one of the top cultural and political topics for this calendar year. And if it does pass, I can't but think, yeah, there's going to be lawsuits immediately challenging it, and eventually it will, in its due course, make it up to the United States Supreme Court, which, again, I don't think this bill has a leg to stand on. I think it's visually disgusting to be anti-Semitic, and yet it's someone's right to believe that. It's their right to say it. We might not like it, but I mean, that's kind of what the United States is founded on. We all have our inherited God-given rights, and government should not be trampling all over them. Now, let me know, do you think this would actually be a net good for society? Do you think this will backfire and actually cause an increase in anti-Semitism? And do you think, how long do you think, if you think it will be challenged, it'll take to actually make its way to the Supreme Court? As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Walmart. Well, they're going to be recalling some of the beef in their stores, which, again, that's not great. This comes to us thanks to CBS News. Specifically, you have Mr. Brooks writing it, and they say, quote, nearly 8 tons of ground beef sold at Walmart recalled over the possible E. coli contamination. They note that, quote, a food distributor in Pennsylvania is recalling 8 tons of ground beef because that beef might contain E. coli. Packages of the beef produced last month by Cargill Meat Solutions were shipped to Walmart locations nationwide, according to a recall notice from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Now, the silver lining and the nice news is there are no confirmed reports yet of anyone being harmed by eating the beef. Officials at Cargill Meat reported a possible contamination after they identified that previously segregated product had been inadvertently utilized in beef production. Here, Cargill told CBS Money in an email that reported the incident out of an abundance of caution. The areas it was shipped to include Connecticut, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, D.C., as well as West Virginia. I don't want to say that's yet another reason to live in Texas, but yet another bonus. Now, it looks like in terms of the recall codes, if you want to actually check your beef and you live in those areas, they note that it was shipped in 6 forms. The 6 forms include all natural lean beef, ground beef lot code 177, 2.25 pound package, prime rib beef steak burger patties lot code 118, fat all natural Angus premium ground beef with lot code 117, fat all natural ground beef chuck with lot code 118, fat all natural ground beef chuck patties with lot code 118. Like it's both the 225 and 1.33 pounds, and let's see, fat all natural ground beef sirloin patties with lot code 118, packaging of 1.33 pounds. Now, this is also yet another great example of the bigger your logo, the bigger the target on your back, because all these headlines are all referencing the large, well, don't get me wrong, Cargill is one of the most massive, important agricultural research, development, production companies on the planet. But your average person has no idea who they are, not to be pejorative about the company. But again, in the headline, it's all about Walmart's brand, because, yeah, they're one of the largest resellers on the planet, and, well, they are. And it's also, they're putting their stamp of approval when they take these products into their stores. So again, it's a business blunder on both parties, Cargill as well. But again, when you're putting something in your store, we had this issue with Trader Joe's last year where they had over 6 recalls for products that they carried, of many of which they weren't the original manufacturer. They were actually just white labeling it and putting their logo on someone else's product, which is quite common. But the issue here is, why are they not constantly doing even more quality control and making sure they're not having anything like this? Because again, it's one thing to have a little knickknack or tchotchke like a pencil sharpener break down and doesn't work. But again, when it comes to things that actually put inside your body and actually consuming, the consumers are not as happy when it comes to those types of recalls because obviously it has a negative effect on their health. So having a recall that, again, is yet another food recall. Again, thankfully no one's passed away, no one's been hurt from this. It's been, they're recalling it quicker, so that's, they're doing something right. But at the end of the day, having a recall that's health related and, also hurting someone's food supply, I gotta say, Walmart, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Don't forget to take the time to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, sharing the video is a great way to assist as well. And lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.